Zeno of Citium shipwrecked and finding philosophy. The sun burned high above the sparkling waters of the Aegean Sea, yet the day began with calamity. Zeno of Citium, a young merchant from Cyprus, had been traveling by ship, his mind full of commerce and ambition, when the storm struck. Waves as tall as towers crashed against the vessel, tossing it like a child's toy. Sailors shouted, ropes snapped, and the wooden hull creaked ominously. Zeno clung to the rigging with all his strength, fear clawing at his chest. The storm raged through the afternoon, and when at last the sea released him, he found himself stranded on the rocky shores of Athens, soaked, shivering, and destitute. All his possessions, gold, merchandise, plans for profit were gone, swallowed by the indifferent waves. He staggered into the city, embarrassed and humbled, unsure of where to turn. Athens was alive with scholars, philosophers, and teachers, and for the first time, Zeno felt a stirring curiosity beyond wealth or status. He wandered through the bustling streets, past the agora where citizens debated politics and the nature of justice, past the stoas, where philosophers lectured, until he came upon a modest portico where a teacher named Crates of Thebes spoke of virtue, reason, and the good life. Intrigued, Zeno approached and listened. Crates' words were simple yet profound. Happiness does not lie in gold, in possessions, or in the applause of men. True freedom comes from living in accordance with nature, controlling one's desires, and mastering the mind. Zeno, who had once thought commerce and success were the highest goals, felt a stirring within him, a spark of something far greater than material wealth. Days turned into weeks, and Zeno devoted himself to study. He read the works of Heraclitus, pondered the nature of the cosmos, and engaged in long conversations with philosophers in the shaded courtyards of Athens. The shipwreck, once a moment of despair, became a turning point. He realized that life's misfortunes, lost wealth, lost status, storms at sea were beyond human control. What mattered was the mind's response. Zeno would often walk along the harbor, reflecting on the waves that had destroyed his old life. He remembered the terror of the storm, the helplessness he had felt, and yet he also felt a growing clarity. If fortune gives me hardship, I will meet it with reason. If life strips me of wealth, I will retain my virtue. The lesson was simple, but revolutionary. Happiness is not given or taken by circumstance. It is cultivated within. Under the tutelage of Crates and other philosophers, Zeno began teaching others, walking through Athens, and sharing the principles of what would become Stoicism. He spoke of controlling desires, of accepting fate, of focusing on what is truly within one's power. His shipwreck was no longer a tragedy. It was the catalyst that had guided him toward purpose, clarity, and moral strength. Years later, Zeno would be remembered not as a merchant, not as a man who feared the sea, but as a philosopher who transformed the misfortune of a storm into a lifelong pursuit of wisdom. His teachings emphasized that external events, wealth, disaster, illness, even shipwrecks cannot harm the soul unless it allows them to. True freedom comes from reason, virtue, and the mind's mastery over circumstance. And so, from the wreckage of a ship and the chaos of a storm, a young man discovered the path that would define his life. Zeno of Citium learned that fortune is fleeting, the sea is indifferent, and yet the human spirit can remain steady, clear, and virtuous. Shipwrecked and humbled, he found philosophy not in comfort, not in gain, but in the very trials that threatened to destroy him. It was a lesson for all ages. Adversity, when met with reason and reflection, can become the doorway to wisdom.